Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Nearly every week we get together to talk about movies, TV, and online content. Help you answer the question, which was the bigger bomb, the Trinity Test or Joe Coy at the Golden Globes? I'm your host, Asher Hobley. Join me today, Dylan Blight.
I nearly didn't watch the Golden Globes, but anyway, I'm here. I rage quit and came back, so
Yeah. But
I'm not even joking. Like, I turned it on, watched like the first 15 minutes, saw utter disappointment occur, and then I switched it off and watched the first episode of True Detective. Finished that and came back. I was like, okay.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a room rebel against a host as much as they? I feel like might be the worst hosting I've seen in recent memory.
I'm sure I have, but not that I even remember, to be honest.
No.
I feel like award shows are like in one year and out the other, so.
But no, this one stuck around. It's double down.
And it's the writer's fault, it's always the writer. Like, they're just reading scripts, so.
But also they throw the writers under the bus, I mean, but... You know.
Oh, yeah, the writers get chucked under the bus, so.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. Apparently, he only got the job like 7 days before or something, but, you know.
I mean, that's why
that's Golden Globes for you.
Why do you reckon, like, the Emmys give awards to, like, the Oscars and shit like that as, like, because they're still written and produced shows, so.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is you could, like, give them a little bit more advance.
Well, yeah.
You know when the Golden Globes are going to be. Anyway. So we're back in 2024. So on this week's episode, we'll be talking about what's in our watch history, going over some film news in this week's top 3, and giving some thumbs to trailers. We'll kick things off with what's in our watch history. We'll start with the one thing that we actually released content for in this massive break. Of course, you can check out all of our best of 2023 content at explosion.com/best of 2023. But we watched the first episode of the Doctor Who Plus era of Doctor Who. The first special starring Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor. The Church on Ruby Road. Dylan, what do you think of the first episode of Ncuti Gatwa's era of Doctor Who?
I thought it was really good, but it turns out that they hate that girl and they're fired her now, so I don't know.
I mean, that's the news going around at the moment that's completely unverified and was run by the Daily Mail.
I mean, I've seen other more reputable places report on now is the problem. I've seen like actual news outlets. If you type whatever her name is or Doctor Who into Google, I'm sure they'll pop up. Doctor Who casting. I don't know. Like I'm pretty. I saw like I can't remember who. Let's go. Doctor Who news. Variety reported on it.
Yeah, but they cited the Daily Mail.
Yeah, but I feel like Variety wouldn't report on it unless they thought there was enough on it. Like no one's quoting the Daily Mail unless they really need to, you know.
I don't know. I feel like they're just jumping conclusions, you know.
Maybe.
But on the other hand, it could be part of the mystery of this season that it only lasts a season.
Could be. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
They got people in with a white companion, and then they're going to get a companion of color to go with the Doctor of Color next season. You know,
bait and switch.
Yep.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Christmas special, first Ncuti special, or full episode. A lot of fun. Really enjoying his Doctor so far. Very different to what we've had last few runs. Young, someone who has a lot of fun. Can be serious if necessary, but you see the smarts and wit and everything of the Doctor within there. I like how it had a musical sequence. I think the villains, these goblins, are definitely very different and everything like that. So, yeah, it was a very good special. Enjoyed it. Can't wait for the series, the full proper series.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good episode as well. Very bold choices made, whether it's, this Doctor being very gadget heavy or having a very different sonic screwdriver or him breaking the song against a bunch of goblins. But yeah, obviously the Disney Plus money is there on the screen for large portions of the episode. It looks really good. Shooty, very, he definitely queer coded when he's dancing in the club with just a singlet on. Yeah, it's a good time. Definitely excited, and we don't have to wait too long. I believe May is when the season's going to come out. We're seeing bits and pieces kind of pop up online and that kind of stuff. So, very excited for the new season of Doctor Who. Dylan, you've started watching the new season of True Detective Night Country, starring Jodie Foster.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, so True Detective, I, like most of the world, loved the first season. Second season I never finished. I think I got like 3 or 4 episodes in and then just fell off it because it was pretty bad. Tempted to finish it just so my track stops, because now I've brought this show back in. I hit it, but now I've brought it back in to check into this, and now
And there's
I
like a
finished the
massive
episode,
gap of.
and then it's like, yeah, now it's like, go watch season 2, episode 3 or 4, whatever I'm up to. I'm like, fuck off. So annoying. Anyway, season 3 was really good as well, but I don't think it wasn't as good as the first season. But it was still good. But actually, back to being a good show. This season though feels more in line with the first season. A lot weirder, tonally and everything like that. So really like it. Jodie Foster plays this sort of, it's set in Alaska. Yeah, so it's set in Alaska. The series starts right when it goes to like where it's nighttime all time. I don't know how many months or weeks or whatever they have of this, but so now it's just dark all time. So, which is obviously very weird and creepy, and I can't imagine living like that. But as soon as it also makes the show hard to keep up with, because like they'll cut the scene, and unlike a normal show where like, well, now it's nighttime, it's just like it's always dark. I'm like, is it the morning? Is it night? I guess it's probably part of it, what you're supposed to feel as a view of the show. But yeah, so Jodie Foster's the captain or whatever, the police detective place there. Your second character is played by Kelly Rise. She used to be a detective, but then you've got some bad blood between them. She sort of moved off and became like a road cop, whatever they call them. Not a quote unquote proper cop or whatever. But the main mystery for this season is you've got, I think it's like some huge number, like 8 scientists up in this big, expensive laboratory up there in Alaska. They're like, I don't know, trying to discover the meaning of life in ice or some shit. And they all just up and disappear, is how it goes in the first episode. So they're trying to track that down, may tie into a mystery from years prior. The first episode is a bit of a slow burn, which is fine. I love a good moody slow burn. Introduction of characters. You've already got like this hint of like Jodie Foster's character, where obviously she had a partner, because her kid, who you introduced to, who's like 16 years old, you have like a line where she's like throws it in her face, like, sort of like, you're not my real mom. It seems like she was dating someone who had a kid, and then that person's probably died in a car accident based on things that happened in this, but now she's got the kid. Like, there's all these like trails and crumbs and things tied in. You've got this other character played by Fiona Shaw in this, who just turns up and starts seeing a ghost of her passed away partner as well, who like leads her to something. And like, there's a lot of shit going on, but I love it. It's shot beautifully, written really well. Can't wait for second episode, which I think is out now or tomorrow, something like that, as a recording. But yeah, I can. I was half an hour into this, and I was already like, this is good shit. This is some Dylan shit. So,
all right. So over the even before the break, I watched The Holdovers, obviously the big Oscar contender this year, directed by Alexander Payne, starring Paul Giamatti, Divine Joy Randolph, and Dominic Sessa. Paul Giamatti plays a history teacher at a New England boarding school who is forced to look after the students who have to stay at the boarding school over the Christmas break, which all gets dwindled down to one student played by Dominic Sessa. And they kind of spend Christmas together with Divine Joy Randolph's character, who is a mother who just lost her son in the the Vietnam War. This is set in the 1970s also, which is key.
Well,
and
given
yeah,
the
it's
Vietnam War,
getting the Vietnam
glad you
reference. It
clarified,
would be very weird
I
if
was
you only
ready
just
to
lost.
be confused.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's not a very unoriginal. It's not a very original story. I feel like I've seen it other places of like the old grumpy old teacher becomes like a father figure to a teenager, and they're kind of like a family unit, I guess, over this period where they're kind of stuck together. But it's really well done. Paul Giamatti is really interesting character of full of neuroses. The weirdest thing that threw me off was he's got a lazy eye in this, and I was like, well, maybe a quarter of the way through the movie, I'm like, did Paul Giamatti always have a lazy eye? Is this the thing that he's always had and I've just never noticed? But also the thing is his eye keeps you can never tell which eye is the lazy eye. And, you know, Paul Giamatti is choosing to, in interviews, not reveal how the process of the lazy eye was pulled off. But it's pretty impressive either way. But yeah, it's a very good movie, wholesome, good coming of age, you know, road trip, all these like kind of Christmas elements. It's weird that this movie got released here in Australia, like I want to say like a week or two ago, when it is very much it's a movie set during Christmas, and it's a movie that could only work during a Christmas period, I guess. So I mean that's a disappointing aspect, but yeah, it's really good. I would recommend checking it out in cinemas. It's a really good time, some pretty good laughs, good wholesome moments, and you know, a full emotional roller coaster in there. Very satisfying movie, and Paul Giamatti is fantastic, and Divine Joy Randolph is fantastic as well, and she's deserving of all the praise that she's kind of getting. And like, it seems like she's almost the favorite to get the Best Supporting Actress this year. She's lovely in this film. So, The Holdovers. I also watched The Iron Claw, which is the biopic, I guess, about the Von Erich family, who are a bunch of wrestlers who wrestled during the, I want to say 1970s, off the top of my head.
Golden Age
of the territories. Very much starts from where kind of early on when Kevin Von Erich played by Zac Efron is the only one kind of wrestling, following in his father's footsteps. It's early 80s, sorry. And kind of tracks their history through this period of time. And, you know, that family is believed to have been cursed. And there's a lot of things that happen in this movie that makes you believe that maybe they were cursed. But yeah, stellar cast, obviously. Zac Efron, probably one of his most interesting performances that I've seen, at least. Jeremy Allen White is fantastic. Harris Dickinson, Maury Turney, Holt McCallany is really great as like the overbearing, like strict dad who wants, you know, the power hungry dad who wants the best from all his sons and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's good. I was expecting more. Like, I wasn't completely blown away, but I mean, it's a perfectly good movie.
My quick question: how much?
I did not know barely anything. I knew going in, tragic stuff hits. I knew it was not going to be a happy story.
Everyone's talking about like crying coming out of cinema and shit like that. So
yeah, and I did. You know, I did not shed a tear. I didn't even well up at any point. I don't think. You know,
no heart.
Maybe my heart is hollow and, you know, cold. Very possible, but yeah, I mean, it's well done. It's kind of crazy how tragic some of the stuff that happens in this film is. It's very much a story of like, you know, the desire to prove your father right and like, or like make your father proud.
If you're interested in the story at all, you should 100% go.
I did go back and watch the episode of Dark Side of the Ring, which is interesting because obviously the big thing is they cut one of the Von Erich brothers out of the film.
I've read that. Yeah.
and it seems like they like put elements of his story with one of the other brothers and that kind of stuff. And like I feel like certain events may have been like moved around and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, typical movie shit. Yeah,
that kind of stuff. And that it's very like certain things are very interesting. Like they very much position Kevin as the brother is like a really great wrestler, but obviously not the complete package. And like he's like struggling to do promos and that kind of stuff. And like he has to do multiple takes of like behind the backstage interviews and that kind of stuff. And that's kind of why he gets so continuously overlooked for his brothers for opportunities. But yeah, then to watch the tragic stuff that happened to that family, it's like fuck. Very sad. Like, and obviously, yeah, it's a very sad story, but it didn't. I don't know. It just didn't click for me, I guess.
Did you enjoy it as a wrestling movie? Or?
Yeah, it's an enjoyable time. I think the wrestling is quite good. Yeah, a lot of the in-ring stuff. It's good. I don't know. Yeah, just something.
Other side note.
I don't think the Ric Flair was very good.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've seen a lot of complaints about that.
Also, no MGF. What's the hell's?
Yeah, they cut his scenes apparently.
It's with.
But he's on as a producer. I think he helped out with the wrestling, is what the story is. So.
He was Lance.
Yeah,
the Von Erich who got brought into the Von Erichs, and then they realized they didn't want him. Yeah, that makes sense.
Was that your first Dark Side of the Ring episode as well that you've ever watched?
Yes.
How do you like the format of it as like a documentary show?
I mean, it's a documentary show, so
yeah,
it's fine. I've like clicked around at a couple of different ones that I watched the Montreal Screwjob episode and the Bash of the Beach. I'm like,
it's a good show.
More modern stuff, yeah.
Good show. I like what they do. I think they do a good job of I like the way they shoot their recreation stuff, like very shadowy and whatever.
Yeah.
So you can never like obviously it's fake, but sort of helps tell the story.
It's not actual footage because they don't have the rights and stuff. Yeah. I also went to the cinema and watched The Beekeeper, the new David Ayer film starring Jason Statham. It's true, someone did kill his bees. Yep. But it's more about the story of a former intelligence operative who worked for an organization that was formed at the initial, like the creation of America, who are outside of the system, who are like to keep the system in check. If anything goes wrong, it's like take people out.
It's like The Gentleman.
Yeah, kind of. I haven't watched The Gentleman, so I don't know. But yeah, it was a beekeeper, is what the Beekeepers is the organization or whatever. So he retired. It was living on this property with a lady played by Felicia Rashad. She gets scammed out of all of her money by a like phishing scam who like talks to her over the phone and like get all her accounts and everything. As a consequence of being robbed of all her money, including $2 million for charity, she takes her own life, which sets Jason Statham's character, Adam Clay, as he's known at this point in the film, into trying to take them all down. And man, it's a conspiracy that goes way higher than you would think it'd go. This movie is dumb, but also a lot of fun. There is a sick satisfaction in seeing a bunch of like people scamming the weakest of people getting what they deserve. Yeah, I mean it's a one-man army movie, so if you are a fan of those kind of movies, this is going to be for you. Jason Statham's really good in the role, even though he keeps bringing up bees and talking about bee metaphors and hives and all that kind of stuff. This is also intercut with Emmy Raver Lapman and her partner, who work for the FBI. She plays the daughter of Felicia Rashad, who got murdered. They're FBI agents, and they're kind of tracking him down as he proceeds to commit a bunch of murders while he works his way up to the top of the food chain. Specifically Josh Hutcherson, who's kind of behind the whole scam. And he's like a tech boy, a shitty, no conscience tech tech trust fund baby. And yeah, seeing him get what's for is enjoyable. Seeing some of the terrible people in this film get what's for is great. So, Beekeeper, it's better than you think it'd be, which is what everybody wants to hear. You know, if you can get past the bee puns, the bee references, and then reading too much into bees, is a good time. Dylan, before we left, we watched the first trailer for Ted. And you're like, not going to watch the show. And then I feel like social media just fell in love with this show. And we're posting clips every single day.
I can tell you my story.
Okay.
I saw someone, the official whatever channel, what posted this? What made this show? Whatever channel made this
Peacock?
show. Paramount. Or Peacock, yeah. They uploaded the full 5-minute clip, and it was, I think, shared on their Twitter as well. It was like 5-6 minute clip from the first episode when they get high for the first time and they come downstairs and they sit at the dinner table. And I watched that and I was like, you know what? That is fucking funny. So I was like, all right, I'll watch the full first episode and see how I, like, in context, is the rest of the episode funny too. And then I was like, you know what? That was pretty funny. And then I just kept watching it. So that's how I feel about the show. I liked the first. Honestly, I kind of want to rewatch Ted and be like, is the first Ted going to be funny? Like, will I go back and like it? I remember not.
2024 is the first Ted.
You're funny. Yeah. So I feel like I might. I mean, that's an article. I should rewatch it. That's the article fucking title there. But yeah, I don't remember liking the second one. Show's very funny though. I think it is unlike the movie. The Ted TV show is literally just live action Family Guy. Is like the way the jokes are presented, the way the camera angles, the opening credit scene, everything, the way the episodes are structured, it is just more like a live action cartoon. I think that works a lot better. The family dynamic, everything like that. Yeah, it's very funny the way it plays. I don't even want to spoil some of the. I kind of do. I don't want to. Actually, I'll spoil one funny thing. Like one funny part. Like there's an episode where they go to church for some reason, and then like the preacher's like talking about people coming back to life and like the coming of Christ, and then Ted's literally just like, I think I'm Jesus. And then there's like gets into argument with the priest, and then like cuts to later in the night, and him and John are like sitting there like flicking through the Bible. And it's just all the little jokes as they flick through a job. They're like, I never seen a book this thick with fucking paper thin. You know, like why's the paper so thin? Like all these little weird things you think about, and then they're flicking through it, and then it's like finds a part, and he's like. He's like reading out, and he's like, read that. What's that part say? He's like, and then he cometh fast. He's like, what'd you say? He cometh fast. Yeah, okay, I probably wouldn't put that in there. This is like they flick further, and he's like, and he's Apostle John. He's like, oh, yeah, you. And he's like, yeah, and then he's like, yeah. So it's like John, because he had all these friends. It's like there's John, and there's Sleepy and Dopey, and, and all these like it's a bunch of dumb jokes. It's very funny. I found it's very wholesome, and I found that it also, and this is the other thing I'm interested about to go back and watch the movie, is because the dad is like ultra, you know, like he plays into the, you know, he's cracking like racist. He's very classic. Ultra conservative, like ultra, especially for this time period and stuff. But the show has a lot of fun with it, and they don't like, especially one episode, because they have I think it's his niece. Yeah. Is the other main character in it? Like, it's like his older sister figure, even though it's not John's sister, it's his niece or whatever. But she stays in the house, and she's, you know, so she's gay, she's like ultra progressive, all this sort of stuff, like constantly butting heads with the dad. The mum's like just very stereotypical, just does whatever the dad says, like cooks, cleans, all that sort of stuff. But there's one episode towards the end of the season where it's like full on. She gets into an argument with him and stuff like that, and he's like, "What I'm trying to say, I didn't even say anything." Like doesn't say anything offensive, but he's like saying like racist shit and whatever else. But the show does like a really good job at like having fun while also saying this isn't right, but also not being too like in a very like you gotta remember like it's obviously Seth MacFarlane, so but yeah, I think it done a good job of like having those jokes while not being too one way.
Yeah. So I watched the first 2 episodes. After, like I said, seeing a bunch of clips on social media, like the one that I saw was the Ted running the girl down the classroom.
Yeah, which is like from I think the last or second. Like, oh no, it's actually it might be. It's from towards the end of the season. Yeah. And in context, there's a reason why he does that.
It just seems very aggressive, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm enjoying the first 2 episodes. It's very wholesome. Ted looks very good. Like, he's very good CGI. Probably because he is sort of simplistic and like.
Well, apparently Seth MacFarlane did the motion capture on set and everything. So.
Yeah. Apparently, he did 1 hour, like 2 hours a week for 22 weeks or something. Is what I read somewhere.
But anyway, I'm glad he did.
Crazy. Yeah. So it's crazy. Does he keep the accent the entire time?
The kid,
John, the kid.
Yeah, and it's so good because I heard him outside in the normal interview. It doesn't have that accent at all, but I absolutely love it as a like. I think he was directed that way. Like, do your best Mark Wahlberg from Ted impression, and it is that to a degree. Like, it's just way too over the top, but I love it. Like, well, Ted, like it's so just like this ridiculous Boston accent. So it's good shit. Do you know what I mean? Would you agree with like the more like sitcom, more like cartoony like feel of it? Like,
yeah, definitely. So like the hug. I mean, one of the opening sequences is Ted finds a gun and he decides to use it on a slip and slide.
Yeah.
And starts firing shots, not really caring where the shots are actually going.
Yeah. Random neighbor cuts to random neighbor yelling stuff. Like, it all feels very like the cartoon.
Yeah, very cartoony. Show, So, all right. Yeah. I'm gonna probably finish watching it.
I think it's the first like hit show. I'll say good show because it's probably obvious, but I'd say it's the first hit show of 2024.
I feel like everybody's talking about it.
Yeah,
need to watch it.
Came out nowhere. Trailer was shit, but anyway, show's good.
Yeah. So I also watched Next Goal Wins, the latest film from Taika Waititi, following the American Samoa football team who, if everybody knows, lost to Australia in a world record loss. I think it was 31-0. And then they subsequently got a coach, this time played by Michael Fassbender, to try and rectify the team, try and get them to score 1 goal at least, because they've never scored a goal as long as American Samoa had a national team.
Low.
The bar is low. So he comes to American Samoa after being fired from the US team and kind of like tries to make a go of it, but he has his ways of doing things, and the American Samoan people have their ways of doing things. He's a hard ass. Yeah, I don't know. This one didn't really work. I mean, it's a fine comedy. It's got the Taika's elements to it. It just feels kind of mean a lot of the time. And then and then when you think it's just I feel like it's a movie that just like every time you think it's going to go off the rails, Michael Fassbender has like a great speech or like a really good moment, and you're like, oh, you get reinvested back into the movie, and then it goes off like meandering off the edge again, and then he has another really cool moment or whatever. So it's a fine movie. People cheered in my cinema when they scored a goal. So I mean, take that for what it will. I mean, sorry. Sorry for history.
I didn't know history.
Yeah. I mean, probably, I would say this is probably the weakest Taika Waititi movie I've seen.
Whoa.
And I think I've seen all of them except Eagle versus Shark. So
I'm going to tell you without having watched this movie, that is better than this
okay.
because that's
So,
a
yeah.
good movie.
I don't know. It didn't feel like a movie he was fully invested in.
What do
in
you
my
think
opinion.
Taika's best movie is?
Probably Hunt for the Wilder People.
What do you reckon his second best movie is?
It's a toss up between Thor and Jojo Rabbit.
Okay. I think
What's your impromptu
mine's,
top three?
Hunt for the Wilder People and tie between Boy. Well, I don't know. They're first and second, and then third would be Eagle vs Shark.
Okay.
Very that would be.
You're very
that'd be
indie
three.
Taika.
Yeah,
You're like
very
fuck
much.
it when he got big.
Yeah, I didn't like Jojo.
You're a hipster Taika fan.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, OG fan. You know? Go back to when he was cool Taika.
Yeah, got too much money now. Dylan, you finally got the opportunity to watch Saltburn.
Yep.
What did you think of this movie that had a very interesting advertising campaign on Prime Video?
Did it? What they do on Prime Video?
Do you know what they did for the full consideration posters?
No, I didn't.
They did a giant poster and it's just the bath drain.
Ah, it's a choice.
Yep.
I think it's a movie. I don't know how to talk about Saltburn actually. I think it's good. I think it's good. I think the problem is that everything good about the movie ultimately by the time the movie's over it gets overshadowed by these like 2-3 key like gross out / odd like envelope pushing scenes that sometimes like the bar scene for example, which is like one of the ones I talked about. I'm like, this just feels like I understand it. I don't feel like the scene needs to be deleted, but I nearly am like, this feels like he did it for like too long, like just went fucking forever. The I don't know, like I like if I was to score it, I'd be like it's a 7.5 in my mind, is sort of where I would sort of sit with that film. I think it's very well acted. I think it's shot really nice. I think Richard E. Grant and Rosamund Pike are probably the best parts of the film in my mind. The two of them, just their reactions to scenes and stuff like that. Carey Mulligan's also very good in it for the time she's in it. I just feel like ultimately the relationship between the two main characters, like I didn't buy into any of it to get to the degree where we get, and I also did never buy into the main character being smart enough to get to where he gets. Is my I just so like I think I just view it as it's a fun, mostly entertaining film. But it definitely wasn't on my. Obviously, if anyone's listened to our top 10 list, it didn't make either of our top 10s. So.
No, I agree. It's like I think it's a fun movie in the moment, and then when you kind of think back on it, it's like. And I also watched it at a film festival with a like full audience, reacting to those moments on screen. So, it kind of like amplified a lot of the feeling around it, like people's reactions, and like everybody was very into it. But yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. Like, I don't think it deserves a lot of the hate that's getting thrown at it. I feel like people have like been kind of over the top with their feelings about the movie and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's a fun. I don't know what thriller. I guess I don't know what genre you'd throw in it.
Yeah, thriller.
Yeah. So, all right, Dylan, you watched a bunch of horror movies on the break. Talk to me about Thanksgiving, which snuck into your top 10 horror movies of 2023.
Yeah, this movie, I think if it wasn't for the first half hour, I don't want to say the rest of the movie is bad, but the first half hour of this movie makes it. So here's the pitch for this movie, everyone. First, this movie starts, it's Black Friday, and then if you've ever watched those terrible videos of like Black Friday shit happening in America where people get like trampled on and shit like that, imagine that, but people die. And then they skip ahead a year and they're like, man, we're never going to let something horrible like that ever happen. And then there's a dude dressing up as whatever, I don't know the dude's name anyway, some fucking American figure dressed up as him, running around killing people that were like involved in that particular Black Friday event. It's the perfect setup for an American slasher film. And this film has a lot of great kills. It's pretty straightforward. The cast is neither particularly likable or hateable. I think they're fine. Like, they're not like a Scream cast or anything like that where you actually care and like the characters, but they're not terrible either where I'm like, I just hope you all die. I'm like, yeah, some of you have potential. Like, but also I wouldn't care if all of you died. So but yeah, I think it was a lot of fun. And yeah, the opening of this movie, I just, because I knew because this is one of the Grindhouse shorts now turned into a movie. Like, I think we've got one Grindhouse trailer that hasn't been turned into a movie at this point now. So
the Edgar Wright one,
I believe, yeah. Or there's a Rob Zombie one as well, so maybe two then I think. So Don't, which was the Edgar Wright one, and then whatever the Rob Zombie one was, I can't remember. Every other one now turned into something. So like, I remember watching that and whatever else. I knew the basic premise of the dude, but yeah, the start of the Black Friday stuff I just thought was fucking like so good. Yeah, so it's just really good, typical slasher. Dude going around killing people. Good fun.
All right. Then you also watched When Evil Lurks.
Yeah, this ended up second or third.
Ooh.
I can't remember where I put on the list. Also, by the way, how funny do you when you saw I changed it from top 5 to top 10? The horror list. I was like, nah, I got too many movies.
No.
I was like, that's it.
I didn't realize that you originally intended to be a top 5 until I looked at the URL for the article.
Yeah. I changed it at the last second. I was like, fuck it. I want to do 10. But at that point, I forgot that I already saved it and scheduled it and to update the article URL. And then I realized like the day it posted, I was like, fuck it, whatever. It's live now.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I was like, fuck it. No.
Technically, there is a top 5 in there, so
there is, yeah. So you can just cut it out. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I cover enough horror movies on the website. Top 10 makes sense. Like, I write about a lot of horror stuff. When Evil Lurks. So this is this was a Shudder film that I heard good press about. I heard people I follow and horror people say this is a very good movie. Got to be honest, I watched the trailer. I was like, I don't get it. I don't see it. And for the first like 20 minutes of this, I was like, I don't really like what's the go, because it's like out in the middle of nowhere in like this rural sort of farm town. This is a Spanish speaking film. I can't remember if it's set in like Spain or wherever the fuck it's set, but they're like you got like two brothers and they're like on this farm, and then some kid shows up and is like, oh my god, there's a dead body. I found a dead body. They go find it. They run out. They go to this other house. There's a dude there. You would hate this film because straight away you go into this room. Why am I saying it's a horror movie? Of course you're gonna hate it. They go into this house. There's like a really fucked up body, like this dude, like huge, like really fat, not in a mean way. I mean like obtusely like over the top fat. And they're like this woman, his mum's like he's infected, you know, like he's possessed. He's being possessed and is like, you know, like ooze and shit, like fucking gross, right? Typical. And I'm like, okay, so it's like possession film, probably gonna do an exorcism. Let's see how that goes. But then what happens is one of like the local they start playing more into like local superstitions and stuff, which is what changes it a bit more from American film. Because American film, they would just like get the priest, you know, do the whole fucking do the go save him sort of thing. They're like, nah. Anyway, they grab old mate, they carefully like chuck him into the back of a ute, and they just go, we've got to get him out of our village because the longer this person's here, he's like going to infect our village. You know, he's got big bad luck and whatever else on us. So got to get him out of here. They drive him all the way down to fucking another town, and literally, and this is terrible, makes all the characters sort of like not morally good people straight away. They just like dump his body. They're like, nah, another town can deal with the bad luck that this infected devil person will deal with. They come back, but then the wife of the one guy is like, nah, that's going to bring bad luck. Shit's going to go bad. And guess what? Shit goes bad. So, and as the film progresses, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And what starts as what I thought was like a very small, enclosed film, like in this very farm village, gets bigger and bigger in scope as the film progresses. Really well shot, especially like, again, you start and you're like, how could you say that? But as you get further in, some stuff starts happening. So cool. And then yeah, two brothers really great. There's a character introduced towards the end of the film, like this sort of devil hunter lady, I guess, basically. She's really, really good as well. Yeah, really spooky, really scary, different take on a possession film that I hadn't seen. So really enjoyed it.
All right. And then you also watched The Blackening.
Yeah, so The Blackening is horror comedy horror. It's definitely more of comedy than horror. You could watch this one. You would Good. Survive this one. I thought it was fine. I guess the problem with this one is it definitely doesn't lean to, like, it doesn't do, in my mind, a good enough job at like balancing the mix. Because I guess when you look at something like good horror comedies, like either go one way or the other in some direction. It's sort of like you're either a scary movie and you're just sort of like, we have someone running around killing people, but like we're 100% a comedy movie. And then you can go sort of somewhere in the other direction where you're trying to, I don't know, trying to think of a fucking good example now. I mean, even Scream's sort of a good example of a, like, it's fun. It's a fun, like you're laughing at some parts, it's fun characters, but people are getting killed. But this just sort of wants to be in the middle, and I don't think it really hit a good mix of everything. And I picked who the killer was straight away, and I don't want to say why because it may like spoil how and why, but I just straight away I was like 5 minutes in the movie I was like, it's that person, because reason. And I think and I'd say like I watched a lot of horror movies, but I was just like, it was so obvious to me that I was like, this is dumb. I don't know why this is how the fuck you motherfuckers are like,
not figuring it out.
I was like, dumb. And then I don't think it's as smart as it thinks it is. I guess there's other thing, like they try and have the movie thinks it's saying something about like race in like,
did you ever watch the
short
stuff that's based on?
No. So I feel like maybe the short would be better because this just feels like it's definitely,
well, it's from my memory, it's like just the very initial conception of like, it's the first phone call they get of like, one of you need to come out to get murdered or whatever. It's like them saying which one of them should go out and die. Who's the most black?
Yeah, which they do the short scene in the movie.
Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Yeah, okay.
So
yeah, it just definitely feels stretched out.
All right. So I've also been watching Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So this is the new adaptation of Rick Riordan's books. Him actually heavily involved. I think he he's co-showrunner on the series. Much more faithful, I guess, to the books than the Logan Lerman led series of films. Very much, obviously, it's adapting the first book, The Lightning Thief. And it turns out Percy Jackson, he's a demigod. His dad is actually Poseidon. He has to go to, he gets whisked away to Camp Half-Blood, which is a camp where all the demigods live. And then he's sent on an epic quest to retrieve the Master Bolt, Zeus's lightning bolt, because it's been stolen. And if he doesn't, a war will rage across the world.
From Rated R, Adam Copeland.
It does star Rated R superstar Adam Copeland. Formerly known as Edge. Star of Vikings.
Okay.
And what was the other show? With Emily Rose.
I watched all of it. He was really
Haven.
good.
I want to say.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Yeah, it's really good. Really enjoyable. The core trio of actors at the center of it are really fantastic. I'm looking at the book series. Who was it? Walker Scobell, Leah Savor Jeffries, and Aaron Simhadri. They're a really good trio. They've got great chemistry. They've got good banter and that kind of stuff. it does a really good job of being like this action adventure kind of show, but also like a teen show, and also have the comedic elements. It like kind of it feels like this is a show I feel like I would have loved if I was like in that perfect age demographic for it coming out. But as someone being a bit older, it's like I can still enjoy it, but it's not going to be my entire world. But yeah, I'm enjoying like all the like expansion of the story and delving into Greek mythology. A lot of the graphic, like the visuals are really good, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I would recommend checking it out. It's a very solid teen action adventure show on Disney Plus. I also watched season 2 of Reacher. I forgot to talk about it last episode that we did. I had seen all the screeners, and I think the entire season has now been released. But obviously this season, Jack Reacher teams up with his former the military investigators, I want to say off the top of my head, which I feel just sounds wrong coming out of my mouth. But one of several of his squad like have been murdered. But at the start of the season, one of his squad has been like dropped in the middle of a forest from a helicopter, and they're like kind of trying to. He and his former teammates are trying to figure out what happened to him, who's behind it, because I want to murder whoever. This is very much a story about revenge. I mean, there's good motivations behind it, but there's a bunch of it's very much revenge, and everybody who gets in their way is like dead. They just kill anybody who like just looks at them sideways and that kind of stuff. It's fine. It's obviously doing very well on Prime Video. Like it's got a very strong audience of like dads who want big dude beating up people.
The weirdest thing is the audience or the people watching it, a lot of them, at least based on Twitter, are like right wing. Like they're like, "This is our guy."
Yeah,
like,
because this is a guy taking out. No, he like came out. He was like wearing a very leftist shirt or something.
But even the character, I mean, the character's not even really your guy.
No, he's like a guy who doesn't believe in, doesn't want to like the government very much.
Yeah,
he's, very liberal and wants. He's very odd in that he doesn't want to like own a house or like have any. Yeah, barely wants any money and like is living off a pension and.
It's very weird. They're like, "This
pension.
is our guy." I'm like, I feel like you're like watching the show and just seeing like a.
You just want a big guy. He like gets rid of guns all the time. He doesn't keep any on him. It's like it's very weird that they're following this guy. It kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Like just timing wise, like this heavy story about the lengths you'll go to get revenge on these people who did wrongs. Like they murder like an escalating number of people, and like at the time the stuff in Gaza is happening at the same time. It's like. It's very weird. Like, even in one of the final episodes, like, there's two people who are, like, very tangential to the plot, who are very tangential to the bad guys, what the bad guy of the whole series is doing. And they could have let them go. But instead, they choose to blow them up in a helicopter, which seems like a very unnecessary move. And, like, it's kind of a very odd story of revenge. But everybody is very good and it's enjoyable fodder, So check that on Prime Video. And then I finished watching season 3 of Slow Horses, which of course is the fantastic Apple TV Plus series starring Gary Oldman as the head of the Slough House, who is filled with a bunch of MI5 rejects. This season they kind of are dealing with a Tiger team, which is like a team from the outside trying to infiltrate MI5 and test their like weaknesses and that kind of stuff. But then they get caught up into like a big conspiracy that kind of has repercussions through all of MI5. A lot more action heavy, at least in the later half of the season. Slow House it's fantastic. Everybody should watch it. And for the 3rd season in a row, they end with a trailer for the next season, which is crazy. Like a full trailer.
I think they filmed 10 seasons.
Yeah. Well, they filmed 3 and 4 back to back, but they were in a trailer for 3, so I don't know how they. I feel like they're straight back and their like production line's very quick. And
Mm.
there was a full year gap between season 2 and season 3. So I'm hoping it's not going to be a full year gap between season 3 and season 4. And they've already been greenlit for 5 and 6, I believe.
Well, Gary Oldman isn't like in interviews, doesn't he just say like this is his shit? He's like,
yeah, I think he must be funding it himself. He's like he's
Yeah.
completely doing it out of pocket. Is the
He
only way
loves the
I can
books,
explain
though.
it.
Yeah. I need to watch it.
It's great. It's really enjoyable. Dylan, you watched a bunch of Australian stuff, so talk to me about the New Boy.
Aussie.
Yeah.
New Boy. So this is a Warwick. What's his last name? Thornton. Warwick
Davis?
Thornton film. So it's set during what?
I said Warwick Davis, and it's completely wrong.
You're terrible. Yeah, that's not even close. That's a real person, but yeah. Set
a different minority.
Yes, very different minority. Film also stars Kate Blanchett as this nun. So the film, I can understand why a lot of people don't like this. And again, I feel like if you're outside of Australia, but I don't know. I don't know if this film, if you could relate this film to other countries, the way they sort of pushed white religion onto indigenous populations. I don't know if that carries to America and Europe or what. Like, I don't know if that carries, but at least within Australia, I understood what the point of the film was, which is it's so Kate, this kid, the boy who never gets named. I don't think even, or maybe at the end of the film, I can't remember to be honest. But for the whole film, he's just boy. He's the unnamed boy. At the start of the movie, captured by cops, police. They take him halfway across fucking Australia, and they shove him into a I don't know, a fucking, what do you call it, monastery, right? Here I have this. Kate Blanchett's like the head sister there. Secretly, the twist on the movie is that the father, or the father, who should be running this place, has passed away, and Kate Blanchett's character is just like keeping on the down low so she can keep running it with her other sisters the way she wants to. So she's taken in all these kids, these Aboriginal orphans, and she's trying to look after them. However, the film does do a good job at like presenting this dichotomy where it's like you understand that she's trying to look after these kids and everything, but her way of looking after them is also by completely pushing Christianity, or Catholicism or whatever. Like these it's the white religion pushed onto these Aboriginal boys who know no different, and like it's just this slow, like sort of deletion of their own spirituality and religion or whatever. So like that's what the film's about. It's a very slow burn. I thought it was very well acted, very well shot, super interesting. But yeah, I just don't know if it would hit outside. I don't know how much that story relates to outside of Australia, into other Indigenous groups. I don't understand enough of their history to understand it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
All right. You also watched The Survival of Kindness.
This is a very weird film. This one, I'm gonna say I liked it, but I'm glad I waited to watch this when I was in the right mindset, because it is a silent film. And I'm not even joking. It is. I knew that going into it, which is why I waited until I could commit to watching it and just being like, I need to like commit. So it's a Rolf de Heer film. Very prolific Australian director. However, has made some really weird shit over the times, including Bad Boy Bubby. But like, made his last film was Charlie's Country, which I pretty much tell everyone to watch if I can. I think it's absolutely phenomenal film. So this is a new film, Survival Kindness. It is about, this is where it gets weird. So you literally have a character who's never named. In the credits, she's just like credited as Black Woman. It's okay. And then it's like other characters just called like Brown Girl and Brown Boy. Like no one has names. it's also not set in Australia. It's not set anywhere in particular. It's just this like magical, like nothing country where it combines a bunch of different elements and stuff. So the characters the movie starts with all these characters in gas masks. So you sort of, this is the thing. It's a silent film. You have to be watching it, obviously paying attention. No, nothing's ever really explained. You have to read between the lines a lot of it. But it's like these people in gas masks. So it's like, okay, maybe post World War II, or at least the gas mask gives you that idea of World War, or something's happening to like poison the land, I guess, out there. Then you've got this enslaved girl, who's carried in the back of a trailer out to the middle of the desert, left there. The start of the movie, she breaks out and then she wanders for a while. She meets some people along the way, including people dying, getting sick. She starts to steal some stuff, survive. It's a lot of walking. It's a very beautifully shot film. Some of it was shot here. Some of it was shot in South Australia, I think was the other part where it was shot. So very beautiful landscapes and stuff like that. Towards the end of the film, they get closer to like a big city, whatever the big city is, and sort of that's where she meets the brown girl and brown boy characters. And the thing is, even when they talk, and a couple times characters talk to one another in this, either they're wearing gas masks and it's all mumbled, but even when they take them off, they're not speaking English, and they're not even speaking another language. They're just speaking gibberish. It's just something made up for the film. So you can never like pinpoint where it is and stuff like that. But yeah, it's hard to talk about without spoilers, but also hard to talk about without. It's definitely a film where you could, like, if you watched it and if you cared enough, like, or in general, I mean, not just you, but like if someone watched this with you or watched it apart from you and they cared enough, like I could definitely have a conversation about what I think this film was about. But also I could understand how some people could be like, this was not for me at all. It's an hour and a half of someone walking, like this is Death Stranding basically.
Okay.
Very, very interesting film, and I appreciate it for what it is. But yeah, I think I gave a 7 on Tracked. I think. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's about where I'd be.
All right. So then you also watch Queer Australia.
Yes. A lot of people said this was really good. It was really good. A bunch of people I like were in it. Hannah Gadsby's in it, so it's like I'll check it out. It's a ABC miniseries. Was it 3 or 4 episodes? I think
3.
There you go, 3. Covers queer history within Australia. The whole context of the show is literally, hey, queer people's history in Australia / the whole world, but this show is obviously focused on Australia. Not really covered. It's hidden. It's covered up. It's that whole thing of like, like you'll have like parents or like older people be like, back in my day, gay people didn't exist. It's like, well, they did. It's just, like it's not something that just suddenly, but trans people weren't real. It's like they were. And this show does a really good job of pinpointing and finding queer people from, back all the way to the 1800s and pointing out like the first written about, and it's quite often just news clippings from like very olden day papers is like the coverings, but these stories are explained really well by Zoe Ma in this, and then it cuts between her talking to other friends, comedians, and other queer people about it, her parents, stuff like that, like not just herself but her friends and the history of these things, and how asking these people what it was like to come out and what they think about this and whatever. It's very funny as well. I think it's like it's a very interesting 3 episodes because I think it's a very well done documentary that gives a lot of very interesting information on stuff. It's produced in a very interesting way with a funny like back and forward non-linear sort of timeline to it all, but then it's like also very funny, which doesn't work usually, I guess. But yeah, I think it was very, very good.
All right. You also watch Safe Home. SBS
yeah, this
drama.
is really this is good too. I saw this come up. Someone, I can't remember who. Someone had this like on their like just straight up like top 10 TV shows. It wasn't like top 10 Australian TV shows. It's just like top 10 TV shows. I was like, all right,
Mhm.
let's check that out. Very, very good. 4 episodes. Stars Asher D, who I really liked in what was that fucking movie I watched
Sissy.
with it? Sissy, yeah. Obviously that was sort of breakout role, I think, for her. Other things as well, but that was quite written about that movie. Yeah, the series is about this. So her main character is a media person. I don't remember actually, like a PR type person, right? That's her job. Started the show, she like sort of quits a job there. She goes to work at a family violence center. And then I think, yeah, the whole thing is obviously I don't think has a full understanding of what she'll be going through, what she'll witness and have to hear about in that place. And then the show like covers that, what she does to try and get more eyes on it. The story's happening across like 3 or 4 main characters, but also one that I can't say about spoilers, that sort of intermingles with her life. That unfortunately is the show. Each episode starts with like, something's going to happen. Like it keeps showing this big event that's happening, and then the episode like cuts back in time. But yeah, I definitely think the show does a very good job of like putting eyes on this work, because part of it is the show, and the reason she's hired is because within the show that they're talking about the Australian government cutting funds for this group and the amount of money they get, and the whole point is like she's hired to prove a point as to why funding is needed for a family violence center like this, to get people help and to explain that. And it's like obviously the show then does a good job explaining to people watching it why it's necessary as well. I would highly recommend it. I thought it was fantastic.
Okay, and then you watched Last King of the Cross.
This is not a particularly good show, but I was entertained by it. I'll admit, unlike the other ones where I was actually watching them, this one I was definitely watching on my second screen here while doing other things. It fell into that territory, but it did remind me, like it is 100% like of those first like sort of 3-4 seasons of Underbelly, back when Underbelly was like at least entertaining, and then I think I fell off, like it just got shit. This falls into that, and obviously this person, John Ibrahim, was covered in I think season 2 of Underbelly as well. Wasn't like the main character, but one of the main characters in the second season. So the Golden Mile, whatever season that was, 2 or 3. Yeah, this entire show just covers him. The problem with this show is he's heavily involved with it. It's based on like a book he wrote, and you can tell he's heavily involved in it, to the point that he just does not come across as a bad person at all. Like it covers some bad thing he does, but it's always like he was pushed, or like he was, he's just, and that sort of ruins it. The reason you watch this show though is because Tim Roth is having a fucking great time, and so Tim Roth plays this sort of amalgamation of multiple big gangsters, Australian, like at the time, sort of like he's the person that they're trying to like eventually, like he's John's like nemesis kind of, I guess. But yeah, Tim Roth is just showing up having a fucking great time. He's playing such a like off weird sort of dude who, and not like shouty like we like that sort of dude. He's like just playing this guy who people try to talk to him seriously and be like, man, we got to kill this guy. Like, like he's fucking up business for us, sort of thing. And Tim Roth's over in the corner. I don't know what the basis is for this character. He's just doing whatever. He's like, yeah, well, I just got to feed my fucking chickens, mate. So I reckon you should feed it yourself. Like it's just such a weird character. Like I'm not even. And also Callan Mulvey, whatever his name is. He's in this. He plays Crooked Cop. He's quite good as well as one of the main characters. And I was happy to see him get like a full sort of main role, because quite often he's in things as a supporting character, and or dude in the Avengers who's off to the side. A couple times he shows up in those films, and dude in Batman v Superman who gets his ass kicked. I don't know, like he's that guy. So yeah, I wouldn't say I would suggest it, but if you're gonna watch it, just watch it for Tim Roth.
Yeah. So coincidentally, I watched the last year of television, which is the yearly recap of Australian television.
I want to watch that as well. That's the one on Binge, right?
On Binge.
Yeah, I need to watch that as well. Yeah.
There is a segment in it in which they point out a bunch of continuity errors in the Last King of the Cross. Specifically, 2 people get murdered, and then they show up at a hearing later, 2 years after they get murdered.
Yeah, well, you don't know what a few years of rest can do for you.
But yeah, that's fantastic. Lots of really good fun segments,
Watched
including
that last year. Yeah.
Yeah, he talks about there was a joke made on the project about there was a religious joke made on the project, and he kind of breaks down the timeline of events that led to it becoming a big issue, a big story, and like he points out like maybe 100,000 people watched the joke when it was actually delivered, and then it got on social media and then hit 200,000 people watched it, and then it it proliferated from there and became such a big deal. Like there were death threats at Channel 10 and stuff. So really interesting stuff. So, and also really funny as well. So check that out. I'm going to talk about something that's taken up a lot of my time over the holiday break. Have you heard of Game Changer?
Yes, I know that name. Game Changer. I feel like if I'm good.
So, do you know Dropout TV?
I feel like I should. I know this name. Who does it? Who's involved? I feel like
this is from the company that was formerly College Humor.
Yes, that's why. Yes, that's why I know it. Yes.
So they got rid of the College Humor name, became Dropout, have their own like streaming platform. But they also have now like you can watch everything on YouTube with the YouTube membership. I've been seeing clips through like of Game Changer pop up on my feed or of other Dropout stuff. So I finally like took the plunge, paid for the membership, started watching Game Changer. So the concept of Game Changer is it's a game show, but every single episode, well, in most cases, every single episode is a different format of game show. And the contestants don't know what game show they're going to be in until they start. So like the first one is like a very improv based, like make a certain animal noise. And okay, and then it's like builds from a bunch of different prompts and like trying to make the best sound. And they awarded points. But then another episode is like a murder mystery, and they need to figure out who committed the murder to win. Really funny. Obviously, it's all the cast of the actual show is like people from College Humor, so it's like they already have like pretty good chemistry, and they're all very funny and improv and smart and like quick on their feet and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've gone down the rabbit hole. There's like 5 very short seasons worth there. Season 3 was done during COVID, so it's all from home, very over Zoom kind of thing. But that's fun, and there's a lot of repeats that season. But it's really fun. Season 6 is dropping in February, so I'm probably going to keep subscribed until that fully drops.
Is this just YouTube Red that you're talking about? Like,
no, like you have to pay like I think it's $7 for a YouTube membership to Dropout TV.
Yeah, okay.
Like,
did you ever watch much College Humor stuff or no?
Not really.
Okay, I used to watch a shit ton when I was in high school. But
yes. So the so there's from Game Changer, they had a spin-off show called Make Some Noise, which is pretty much Whose Lies Is It Anyway? So they give you a prompt, you have to improv that prompt. And that's a lot of fun. Obviously, you get a bunch of laughs. They also have a show called Breaking News, which is they have a bunch of people try to do news report that they've never read the news report for, and it just ends up being a bunch of funny jokes and stuff, and they have to try to not laugh. So that's really fun as well. And of course, they've got Dimension 20, which is their D&D show, which is a D&D show that I feel it's probably up there with one of the most popular ones.
Yeah.
Available. Brennan Lee Bunnigan is the Dungeon Master. He's really fantastic. I watched the first season. That's really good. So, yeah. I would recommend February, when February drops around, subscribe to Dropout TV. Watch as much content as you can. And then, if you don't like it, unsubscribe. All right. Dylan, you've been watching Stolen Youth Inside the Cult at Sarah Lawrence, which I watched last year.
Did you? Did you talk about it? I can't remember.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Oh, must have been like when it came out, study or something.
Yeah, around about. I think it was a while ago.
Yeah, I thought it was decent. So yeah, this is about like so it's such a weird story of just a dude who like a dad who like shows up at these college kids and was like, I'm just going to crash here for a week. And they're like, yeah, a bit weird, but whatever, we'll do for a week. And then he sticks around for like the next 15 years, 20 years of that.
He just kind of
starts like blackmailing
starts
him.
a mini cult. Yeah.
Starts a mini cult. Like it is really the biggest tale of like if you want to watch something, because people who are like, I don't understand how people get like manipulated and stuff, like it must be dumb people. I feel like this is the best thing to watch, as because it's a bunch of really smart people who are just caught by a really good manipulator. And
one of the people is a doctor.
Yeah, well,
who lives in another city.
Yeah, and he manages to manipulate that person to literally move cities and
give up her life.
Yeah, and convinces them all they've been poisoned, and it's fucking crazy. So my only downside is I definitely feel like the ending, like the covering of the non-covering of his trial, is annoying to me. I felt ripped off with that. Like as far as like this goes as a documentary, like I it focuses.
You feel like it was kind of rushed out.
Yeah, well, it just like to get it
early.
out ASAP, because the trial was happening like what, a month before this came out, I think. So like right up until it released. So that was the part where I was a bit confused. Because they spent the last episode with just the two girls. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like one of them deserved the amount of time she got. The other one, I feel like got too much, or there wasn't enough there. Just they kept coming back to her and the same shit. I'm like, okay. Like just as far as like I understand, like there's nothing like against her, like she needed help as well. But I'm like, just like as a story, as a documentary, I'm like, what's happening with him over here? Like, how are do there ever any interviews with police? Like, I just felt like it was missing something, So.
All right, and then you also watched I'm a Stalker.
Did I? What's that one? I've actually forgot this.
I assume it's got something to do with a stalker or stalkers.
Oh no, I did watch that. Hey, yeah, for the whole first season or whatever. Yeah, so every episode is a different person being interviewed in prison who have been committed for different degrees of stalking, and then it also interviews and talks to the person who they were stalking, or the multiple people they could have been stalking. You could view this as like, why are we giving any time to people in prison or whatever. It is interesting still, because most of them, I would say, have understood and hopefully get help and are able to change why and how they were doing these things. Some of them, you can just tell they're just going to get out and do the same shit again. But I think also, as like, stalking is one of those things I just feel like is a word that's thrown out and people don't actually understand. For people who get charged, or how hard it is even to get charged, because that's the other thing this does really well. A few of the cases where it's like, or most of the cases, the people who are getting stalked would get a restraining order, and this just proves that does shit, nothing, because then the people just continue, because it's like, well, they have to be caught. But like if the person's like rocks up on your doorstep and you've got a restraining order, you call the cops, they leave, like there's nothing that can really be done. So it does, it's interesting to watch. Does a really good job at like showing you different degrees of stalking too, from like obsessed lovers to I want revenge and potentially could kill someone. Like there's all sorts in between, and it's not just guys. There was like 2 girls in it, I think. So it gives you like a bit more different of a spectrum there. So yeah, I thought and some episodes are obviously more interesting than others, depending on what. But yeah.
All right, and then you watched Emily, starring Emma Mackey.
Yeah, really good. Loved it. It was good shit. Didn't quite make my top 10 list or anything like that, but very beautiful film.
Was that from 2023?
Yeah, January it came out.
Okay.
At least in Australia. I looked it up because it was in my top 20 at some point there, but not in my top 10. So yeah, it's based on, well, it's not based on, this is like, it's a true story of Emily Bronte, who wrote Wuthering Heights, her life, or her young years, I guess, and what she went through and everything. It's just very much like it falls into that, whatever we call this period of, do you enjoy this period of film you know, whatever we call this, 1800s sort of shit. You know, like what is this? What is this period? What was this actually called?
Look at the Wikipedia page. It doesn't say.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like we're talking about this period.
Yeah,
you
the
can
period.
look at it,
period.
You can look at a screenshot of a film set in this period, and you go, "Oh, that period." is how I feel about it. She's really good.
The Emma period.
Yeah, Emma. It's the Emma period. You know, it's the Pride and Prejudice period. It's the all of those that time.
Regency era
is that actually what it's called? Sure.
From 1795 to 1837.
Yeah, Little Women and shit. I don't know.
I think Little Women. Yeah.
Think that's what this is. That period. Yeah. So yeah, she has all her sisters. She's trying to grow up. Obviously, Emily's like sort of considered the weirder kid. One of her sisters a bit mean, makes fun of her, calls her a bit weirder because she, similar to what's his face from Little Women. It is the thing of she doesn't want it. Like she doesn't dream of getting married and living the normal life and stuff like that. She enjoys playing make believe. She enjoys running around. She likes writing these weird stories and stuff like that. Not everything that a young lady should be doing, and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, very imaginative brain, obviously, but it is a sad story. It's not she I know it's true. It's fucking history. So what's the spoiler? But obviously she dies by the end of the film. Her court leaves what she goes through can and may not. Like she definitely could have lived in another word where I feel like she was surrounded by, not that she kills herself, but like the film very heavily implies like she could have, like if she was surrounded by more supportive people and part of her lives, maybe the way she would have acted once she got sick, which is the problem. A lot of people got sick during this period. She might have reacted differently and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought it was really great. It's shot beautifully. It's everyone's fantastic in it. All the actors, even the guy who's a fuckhead and the love interest who is a shithead. The actor was good. All the sisters are great. Australian film too. So there you
go. Is it? Interesting.
Yeah, Australian film.
I thought it was British.
Nope, Australian.
All right. Let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. Going an hour, 15. Still going. And now's the time that Dylan can finally talk about one of the most divisive movies of this award season, Maestro.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty shit, to be honest. I'm just gonna go out there straight away and say it. I think this is a very just pretentious film. It is the most. I'm just like I went in willing because people make all the jokes like, oh, it's just an award season movie and stuff like that. But I gotta be honest, like that's all that came across to me. Like from the way it's shot, from the way it's acted. Like the only good thing in this movie is Carey Mulligan's really good. Matt Bomer's like really good for the first like half an hour that he's in it, and then he disappears. But other than that, I hated Bradley Cooper in this. I think the performance is way too over the top. It's ridiculous. I also don't think it's a particularly interesting film. I don't understand. Like it thinks it's focused on their relationship as like the main thing, but it doesn't really say anything about it at all. Like other than like, here's a thing. Like I don't know. I think it's a pointless movie. I think it thinks it's very smart and beautiful and like all the acting's fantastic and he thinks he's going to win all the awards. But yeah, no, I really didn't like it. It was boring.
All right. So I watched The Brother's Son, the new action comedy series on Netflix. That follows two brothers, one named Bruce who lives in Los Angeles with his mum, going to medical school to try and become a doctor, but also his true dream is to get into improv, which is against his mother's wishes. But his other brother is living in Taipei and is the weapon, I guess, or the main, hitman for the one of the Taipei gangs. He's like, his father is one of the most renowned gangsters. but when his father has an attempted assassination, he has to go to LA to keep his mother and his brother safe. But his brother doesn't know anything about his life, about their family connections to the mob or anything like that. So, and then people start coming after them. It's really enjoyable. It's a fun action comedy show. The show that it reminds me most of is Chuck, which isn't surprising because one of the creators of the show is also one of the co-creators of Chuck. Yeah. Oh no, maybe I'm thinking of a different file check. Never mind. But yeah, it's got those kind of vibes of like an action comedy and a fish out of water, and a kid like trying to do the best for his family and that kind of stuff. And I think it's really interesting. The Bruce character, the elder son, is kind of torn between, wanting to have his own in life and kind of want family duty. Like he's developed this love of baking and like he wants to explore that, but his nickname is chair leg because one time he kills a guy with the chair leg, and that's how he built a like reputation as like someone not to be crossed with. Really fun. It's interesting. Michelle Yeoh obviously plays the mother, but she isn't a martial artist in this, which is an interesting choice.
I mean,
considering her background. She's done enough, But she's very interesting, and she like has a very different way of. She's probably the smartest person in the room in every room, so that's really good. The action is actually pretty solid, I think, for a television show. There is one action sequence at a Top Golf, which is pretty fantastic and pretty funny at the same time, where he wrecks shop on one floor and then he realizes there's another floor to go up of this golf driving range. It's great. It's really enjoyable. I would recommend checking it out. The Brother's Son. Then I also watched the documentary Bitconned, which follows this guy.
Is this the one where I watched the trailer where he's getting his like suit done in the mirror and he's like talking about like how he would do it all again and shit?
Yeah. Who was it? Trapani. Right, Ray Trapani is he's like pretty much a con man from birth. Wants to pull scams, like always wants to kind of be rich, but didn't really want to work for it. Runs a bunch of like smaller scams, like in high, like to set the scene. In high school, at one point he steals like a subscription pad, and then like uses it to like get a bunch of OxyContin, and then uses that to like sell it off and like make a bunch of money. As you do. Then he and some friends start a high-end car dealership, like a car rental in Florida. But they end up, the problem is with that is they start spending too much money, and just keeping money out of the company. So the two of them decide, hey, you know what would be the best thing to do? We should get into crypto, because there are no scam artists in crypto. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And their big idea is we're going to create a card that you can use your Bitcoin with automatically, like you would a normal bank card.
Yep.
Except that's really hard to do. And these are two people with absolutely no tech background. They pretty much scam a bunch of people. And the craziest thing is, like, they were getting barely any money for this idea. But then, like, someone in the crypto space accidentally puts their name in one of their reports as something that people should get invested in, and then they like skyrocket and make a bunch of money. So it's on somebody's accident that they were able to succeed to a degree. But yeah, it's a really messed up story of these people, try just the audacity of a lot of the stuff that they do in this. To these
crypto bros,
they get interviewed at several points. And like pretty much the first thing that comes out of their mouths is like, "This isn't a scam."
That's when you know.
Completely unprompted. Completely unprompted. They say, "This isn't a scam." Yeah. So read that what you will. That's a really fascinating movie. And then I also watched Man on the Run, which follows. It's about a fund called the One Malaysia Development fund, which is a fund developed by the Malaysian government to spend on much like Saudi Arabia and that, and try and invest in other places to bring new industries to Malaysia and that kind of stuff. And then this person, Joe Low, gets put in charge of this, and then ends up using all this money for his own personal gain, to the extent where he goes to Hollywood and is having parties with Leonardo DiCaprio, Jamie Foxx, Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian, that kind of stuff. They use the money from this fund to make The Wolf of Wall Street. They literally funded that movie. That movie would not have been made without them embezzling this money.
And yeah, really adds up for that movie too. So yeah,
it does. It makes a lot of sense. And yeah, the documentary kind of explores his background, what impact this fund scandal had on the government, and how this kind of through the entire history, one party in Malaysia had always been in power in the government, and the scandal was so big that they got tossed out of government and that kind of stuff. So very interesting movie. I would recommend checking that one out. And then the last thing on our list, Dylan, you watched Trevor Noah's latest special, Where Was I?
Yeah, this was really funny. This has a great bit. This has a great bit to end. It has a great bit to start. This is a good comedy special where there's at least 3 bits that I could easily spoil for you now, but I don't want to. But I pulled one of them out and fast forward and showed my dad the other day because I thought it was so funny and he found it funny too. So, but yeah, obviously I would say Trevor Noah, if you watched any of his stuff, it's just more of his sort of type of comedy, which is I would say he's someone that's good at pointing out the special starts with him being I went to Germany recently. I've never been to Germany. It does some funny bits about airport. He builds. He's some funny little jokes to make crowd laugh, and he builds to his main point, which is he's Germany's interesting, because they don't hide their history. He's they're we did a lot of fucked up shit, World War II, Hitler and stuff. He's they'll have statues up. They're yeah, we did that. That guy's our fault. But we're just gonna have statues and things, and they're constantly wearing their shame, and he's basically everywhere I went, someone was sorry for World War II, all this stuff. He's but then you come back to America and everyone's we have done nothing ever wrong. We just built everything gets built up into this, tying it back up into, and this is the thing, obviously some people hate political humor and stuff, but I feel every segment, the 3 acts of his show had a really good jokes, it builds and then sort of has a main message, builds to a main point, and yeah, and he does have some very good points to make about different things. But the joke that the show ends on, I think is well worth watching it for, and I just don't think you could plan it. The way it plays out, he sets up a joke for the audience, and when the audience just fucking delivers in a way that I'm so glad they used this audience for the special, because you just couldn't have paid him to make the show end as well as it does. So I don't want to spoil it because it's just so good. So, but I laughed a lot. I thought it was good. It was very good comedy special.
All right. That's everything in our watch history. Let's move into some film news. And obviously we've missed a lot of weeks of film news. So this week's top 3 is top 3 stories we missed.
Definitely in the top 3.
Dylan, what's your number 3?
All right, so I really struggled this as I messaged to you, because I was I don't know what the fuck happened, and you
just paid no attention to anything in the news the last month.
I mean, kind of. I just feel it was such a busy, period. So I'm gonna be honest. You gave a list of 6-7 things. Everything I've picked is from your list, but also the stuff you listed was the biggest stuff, but I don't want to set you up to be you just picked everything. All right, so number 3, I went with 28 Years Later. So I loved the first film a lot. Second one I was it's fine, but again, big horror fan, a lot of friends growing up in high school, horror fans and everything. So 28 Days Later was weeks later, sorry, was our one of probably the most watched at sleepover. Sounds let's have a sleepover and watch 28 weeks later, but we did. So really enjoyed that film and sequel. And I'm just really excited, I guess, for Cillian Murphy, Danny Boyle, like both so much more, experience between them, and Cillian Murphy now a lot more star power. So to get more eyes, I guess, on that franchise would be cool.
Okay, my number 3 story is Amazon Prime price going up. So the price is going up, well, at least in America, by $3 if you want to keep it ad free. Otherwise, the base price, there's going to be ads running in Prime Video. And the overreaction to this, I feel, has been completely over the top. Really? You're going to cancel your Prime Video subscription because there's going to be ads, or you have to pay an extra $3? Really? You're going to unsubscribe to Amazon Prime?
No one
in
unsubscribes
protest
from Amazon Prime.
Really? You're really actually going to do that? You're going to pay full price for delivery of stuff? Is that what you're going to do? I don't think so. Talk bullshit. You actually want stuff to go back to when it was cable? You want to go back to the time period where you could only watch things when it was aired at a set time? That's your preference of how to consume your media? You have to watch what these channels decide to put on, which is mostly reruns of stuff that you've watched a gazillion times before, and that you can't unsubscribe without, because you have to pay. You're locked into like a 25-month contract. That's what you want. You want video stores to come back. You want to go to a video store. You want to go to a video drive to a potentially very far location. Go to a video store to get that one movie that you want to get, and then find out they've got absolutely no copies of it, and you have to go rent some other new release for the same price that you're currently getting it for digital. Is that really what you want? Really?
Yes.
All of that?
No. Half of that.
Okay, if you want a video, you can just go to... I guess all video stores are dying, so...
Of course you want a video store. You're talking
physical
about one of the guys, I literally got 2 Blu-rays in the mail today.
Yeah, but you want to own those. You don't want to rent them in here.
I mean, I miss... No, don't. That's a whole... I miss rental store story.
Dylan, what's the second story?
What did I pick for second? Hold on, Mickey Mouse. Wait, number 2. So, here's my feelings on this. And we've talked about this before it happened, I believe. I think
yes,
on here.
coming into public domain.
Well,
I feel like, obviously, we talked about Winnie the Pooh last year.
Yeah. I am all for everything. Like, I never want these rules to change. And the thing is, they're gonna, because people are gonna wiggle their way out of it and whatever else. And I'm sure, like, Disney's already, like, the thing is, Mickey Mouse in public domain, it's like one.
It isn't technically Mickey Mouse. It's the Steamboat.
Like, yeah, it's Steamboat Mickey,
Willie.
not all of Mickey Mouse. But people getting upset. Like, I've had 2 things of people like, how's this thing? People that don't understand, like, copyright and, like, the 100-year, like, the legality of it. And then you got that other people be like, it's ridiculous. Now people just make stupid things with it. And then you had that game come out, the first-person shooter one. Then you had these, like, short videos, and already people going crazy. But, like, I actually think it's good for, and I think this is a conversation that we had originally brought up. I'm all for, I think at a certain stage, 100 years is a long fucking time. At a certain stage, stuff going into public domain just allows people who are trying to learn a craft of some sort, having more access to stuff to play around with. I'm all for it. Like, and we wouldn't have a lot of the movies that we do have now. Like, if you just Google, like, what's in public domain, the amount of stuff that is, like, and that's the reason why you get, like, Peter Pans and weird shit,
all
like
the
that.
Sherlocks and the
Sherlock,
Shakespeare's and the Peter Pans and all that kind of stuff.
John Mars thing, whatever that thing called. There's a lot of stuff in public domain, I think, that people don't even realize, and the reason you get multiple
all the, like, horror movie stuff.
Yeah, a lot of horror movie stuff,
like Dracula and vampires,
and like all that Frankenstein shit and whatever else. So
yeah,
people just get it's like it's a free, having access to free license stuff that you can have your own take on, I think isn't a bad thing. And I love Winnie the Pooh, like Disney Winnie the Pooh, but also like that stupid horror movie. It's just a dumb, stupid horror movie. It doesn't ruin it for kids or anything like that. I don't know. The amount of uproar over this was a lot.
I'm not totally against it. but I feel like we're not going to get any good stuff for a long period of time.
Oh,
Right
of
now,
course,
we're getting stuff just from people trying to exploit it coming into public domain.
jank, or you're getting AI
Yes.
shit.
Jank,
That's
meme stuff.
Yeah.
Quick buck
quick
kind of
stuff.
crap.
Yeah.
Anything of any value will not come for
have
several
you
years.
seen the other movie the Winnie the Pooh producers doing his Bambi?
Doesn't surprise me.
Like,
All right.
I'll probably add this to the list.
I'm going to say this my number 2 because I think we'll probably both have the same number 1. My number 2 is Tom Cruise signing a production deal with Warner Brothers. The man whose the last movie saw, as this article has credited him, well, Slash Film credited him, signs with Warner Brothers in major new deal. Reading from Slash Film. Tom Cruise, one of the biggest stars of all time, has found a new home at Warner Brothers. Co-chairs and CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi have announced they will jointly develop and produce original theatrical films, both original and within franchises, starring Cruise beginning in 2024. They've entered into what's being called a new strategic partnership. Cruise and his production company will have offices on the Warner Bros. Discovery lot in Burbank, signaling the seriousness of the marriage. Cruise is one of the last bankable movie stars on the planet, making that a big win for Warner Brothers. The partnership marks a return to Warner Brothers for Cruise, whose filmography with the studio includes movies like Edge of Tomorrow, Rock of Ages, The Last Samurai, Magnolia, Eyes Wide Shut, Interview with the Vampire, Risky Business, and The Outsiders. This is very interesting because obviously he's been heavily involved with Paramount the last several years, since he'd been on this latest kick of Mission Impossible movies. It feels like.
I mean, he's still making.
I think.
Yeah.
He is in an exclusive contract, so he still has the option to. Yes, but yeah, this is really interesting because why would you go work for Warner Brothers right now, based on everything they've done and everything they kind of stand for, especially Tom Cruise, who seems to be so heavily invested in movies being a theatrical experience, being
I can tell you why.
Thing.
It's because he knows his own worth and he knows. I'm fucking Tom Cruise, and I'll get what I want.
Yeah, he knows. In a fight,
he knows he cannot be fucked. He can't be fucked.
He will actually fight David Vaslav.
He will punch that motherfucker in the face if he says he's not putting his movie on the screen.
My joke when this news broke was, wow, they must have actually greenlit the movie where he goes into actual space.
Yeah,
they're actually giving him money to do that.
Could be true.
But yeah, does this? I don't know. Does this kind of signal the end of the Mission Impossible franchise potentially?
No.
Is he going to do another movie after the Dead Reckoning sequel?
Did you see they rewrote?
They retitled it. Yeah. They removed the part 1. Which isn't unheard of for a Tom Cruise action movie to change the title after release. But yeah, I mean that's interesting. Also, the big rumor is there's 2 other rumors around Tom Cruise. One, Top Gun Maverick. The Top Gun Maverick sequel is currently in the development that he could potentially be involved in.
No, they didn't. They officially say it was. I thought I saw a story that said
it's in development. They didn't confirm that he's involved.
Yeah, okay.
He's or going to star in it.
And
then the other one is they really want him to do a Edge of Tomorrow sequel.
I mean, a lot of people want Edge of Tomorrow sequel, so yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of why they specifically tried to get him to make that as one of his part of the deal. So yeah, really interesting bit of film news there. Dylan, what's your number 1 film news that we missed?
Emmys are fucked.
Is your number 1 news story that Better Call Saul now holds the record for most nominations with 0 wins?
I wouldn't put it as my number 1, but it's what I'm talking about. Yes, I don't want to say it that way.
The Emmys are also my number 1. Yeah, Rhea Seehorn, nothing. Bob Odenkirk, nothing.
Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul, rip. Yeah,
it is actually the most. I'm not even memeing when I say this. I was legit sad. I think every year I kept holding out there's next year. You know what I mean? this year, and and I do meme on it a bit, that really wanted her to win and whatever else. But I probably got and I try not to let these shows get to me because I'm like, it is just one person's opinion or whatever. But for a moment, this was me, and I would say Better Call Saul's my favorite show of all time. Like, I'd definitely I'd say that's number one. I think it's the best show ever made. Like, that's number one favorite show. Like, I can that's where I'm at with this. And this was my, sort of sport-ish reaction to this came out, where I was just like, I was not happy. I was not happy with the disrespect that.
Here's my you really love The White Lotus.
Yeah. There's no way
I think you ranked it above. Oh no, Better Call Saul didn't come out this year.
No.
So.
No world, yeah. Would I ever rank that show above Better Call Saul? That show's really good. Better Call Saul is a great show.
Jennifer Coolidge.
Jennifer Coolidge should no way. There's how her best drama, right?
Mm-hmm.
That show is a drama. It's a dramedy, right? It's a bit of both. She is 100% in the E side of the dramedy, and her winning over everyone else that was nominated, I think, in this particular year, in particular, the last year for Raya to win. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
I think, Better Call Saul is just one of the most unluckiest shows. Just every year coming against some new sensation.
The history
that
books
kind of
will
took
not
its wind
look back on this.
I mean, Dylan, don't worry. In 25 years at the 100th anniversary of Emmys, they'll all come on stage and groan about how they never won any awards.
What I'm really hopeful for, and I've seen a lot of other people, because I follow some fan channels and shit on Twitter, right? Because of course I do.
Really?
Shocking. I saw one of them tweet something like, "It's all right, everyone." It was like, "It's all right, everyone. The outcome of this just means that when Vince and Ray are up there accepting for their Apple TV show, they can talk shit on everyone." And I'm like, okay, that's my silver lining currently, because that's what they're working on now.
That's
their
your
show.
hope.
So
that's your hope.
Leading performance is what we're leading towards.
Yeah,
I don't get it. And again, I don't understand. The show is so good, is the best written, some of the best character work you'll ever see, and I don't understand. And is it just because it's did it just get stuck in? Oh, it's just a spin-off, it's just a spin-off. But the thing is, the show,
but it got nominated each year.
Yeah, but I mean, even just people in general.
So people were watching it, and people, they just decided it wasn't the best every year.
But it was.
All right. So what are your feelings on the Emmys overall?
No, fuck them.
Obviously, this was a bit of a weird year where 3 shows kind of dominated all the awards. And also, this was also a weird year where, obviously, all the shows that were being honored were from potentially as far back as a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So The Bear got a bunch of wins this year for season 1.
Yeah. So The Bear won a bunch of shit. Succession won a bunch of shit.
I would imagine The Bear is probably going to win
next year.
Go back to back in every single category.
Yeah.
Based on what we like for season 2. In comedy.
Which is fine, because The Bear wasn't upsetting me because it wasn't up against other stuff that I cared
about. And then Succession, obviously, final season.
Shit show.
Won in pretty much every category except Best Supporting Actress. And then Beef won most of the limited series categories. So, wasn't a lot of love shared across a lot of shows.
No.
Was the main critique I've seen from people.
I'm pretty sure Beef at some stage, just back to back 4 times in a row. It's just stay up there.
Well, they did all the limited series awards at the same time, so
Beef.
it can't be helped. What did you think of the ceremony overall? I thought the most interesting thing to me
Was his mum?
was it.
Oh.
No, it ran under 3 hours.
Did it really?
It started at what 12 o'clock your time and finished at 3 o'clock. So it's crazy. They presented what 27 awards and had time to give all these people a bunch of speeches.
I don't
Crazy.
know. Like, I heard it's pretty hard to give people time to do speeches. Like, don't know how you work that out. It's crazy. Yeah, I thought it was a good show. Fine. Like I think the winners, obviously,
Yeah, that's.
I cannot escape my personal feelings for this particular year's Emmys. But hosting was good. Jokes were mostly good. No standout shitty segments. I like that they had a theme, like doing the
sets and
history
bringing
of
people
sets
like a bunch of
sitcoms
reunions and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the reunions and stuff. That was pretty fun.
It was weirdly a bunch of shows that didn't get recognized by the Emmys. Like, here's Martin, a show that won absolutely no Emmys. Here's the cast of Always Sunny in Philadelphia, who have never been here before. And then Rob McElhenney is apparently watching the Eagles game during the ceremony.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. His wife, whatever, posted. It's quite funny.
Yeah.
What was I going to say as well? The only thing is, I'll say the in memoriam song choices were a bit weird.
But they're just doing the Fast Furious
Charlie
Puth
Fast
song.
and Furious song, and then
then they brought the Friends
doing
theme.
the Friends theme was just a little bit. I didn't like that. I didn't like it.
You know, highlighting one person in particular.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, just weird. Yeah.
You know, a terrible thing. I was like, why are they doing the Friends theme? Did someone in that show die?
It's fucking hell.
What happened to Jennifer Aniston? All right. So yeah, that was the Emmys. We missed it, but you know, there's some more awards. We're dropping this episode of Weird Time because we're recording this Monday. Academy Award nominations are coming out the day of release after we do this. So
we'll do a memoriam for Matthew Perry there too.
Yeah, he was great in the whole 9 yards.
Actually was.
And
in that movie
what's the other Zac Efron movie?
Yeah. That one.
Yeah. 17 again, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll talk about Academy Award nominations next week. But for now, let's give some thumbs to trailers. Of course, you can find all the trailers we're about to talk about in the show notes below. We're going to kick things off with Abigail, directed by Matt Bentinelli, Alpin and Tyler Gillett, starring Melissa Barrera, Dan Stevens, Alicia Weir, Catherine Newton, William Catlett, Kevin Durand, Angus Cloud, and Giancarlo Esposito. A group of would-be criminals kidnaps the 12-year-old daughter of a powerful underworld figure, holding her for ransom in an isolated mansion. Their plan starts to unravel when they discover the young captive is actually a bloodthirsty vampire. Dylan, you're a... what's the name of the group? Fan?
Oh, Radio Silence.
Yes, you're a Radio Silence fan.
Yeah. I think this looks fantastic. Double thumbs up. It's crazy that, like, I always knew that. So my Twitter joke that I didn't tweet because I forgot is that I always knew Matilda was a fucking vampire. So the main girl, I watched the trial. I was like, where do I know her from? And I looked it up straight away. I was like, it's the Matilda from the last Matilda movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, really like
actually her parents in Matilda were good guys because they were treating her badly because she was a vampire.
That's actually a sequence there.
She actually had telekinesis because she's a vampire
all along. I really, really hope that people go watch this movie because after everything that went down with Scream, like going to watch this is showing your support for Radio Silence. Not that they were fired for that movie, but just like proving a point that they're like they were part of the success of that. But also 100% go watch this to show support for Melissa Barrera. I feel like it's important to show to give Paramount the fucking finger, basically. Yeah, like the rest of the cast as well. Catherine Newton, Dan Stevens, Giancarlo Esposito, Angus Cloud, and I think what will be his last performance, I think.
Yeah.
I think this is his last role.
One of his final performances.
Yeah, obviously he passed away last year. So Yeah, really cool trailer. I like it. It has a very fun vibe, which is obviously, and they do fun horror movies. Is the thing. They do really fun horror movies, and this looks to have 100% that vibe. Just the way it plays out is like the fucking. No, it was in partnership. I think the dude, like Dan Stevens or whoever, says like she's fucking flying or something like that. It's just there's so many like funny lines. I think
Hey,
within
fucking ballet.
yeah, hey fucking Bella and shit like that. Like that's the thing. Like their Scream movies were a lot of fun, but then like obviously Ready or Not, which was sort of their like they did something before that, Southbound and stuff. But Ready or Not was like that was their like show up, like we're here to fucking rock, like their big movie
Their
that pushed
breakout,
people. And that movie is just a lot of fun as well. And that's set in one location, one house. So this is sort of almost feels like going back to their like roots a bit. So yeah, double thumbs up, can't wait. Super keen.
I'm gonna give it 1 up, 1 down. It's not because it's a scary movie. I feel like maybe they showed a little bit too much in this trailer. I know you need to set up the premise and that kind of stuff. But I guess it would have been interesting if they kept a little bit more mystery around.
I feel there's going to be a twist though. You wait, there'll be a twist.
Yeah, I guess. Also interesting because obviously this movie, I'd seen Melissa Barrero's name constantly brought up with this movie, and like, I guess she's more of a supporting cast member. It's hard to tell.
I know it's hard to tell who the main
yeah
people are. Like it's just a cast of people.
I got the impression that she was going to be like the monster, but no, it's a little girl, little Matilda. But yeah, it looks like it could be potentially a fun time. I might check it out. I enjoyed their tone in the Scream movies, so
you haven't watched Ready.
This one seems a little bit more gory. I haven't seen Ready or Not.
So I feel like you should watch that, and
and
if you can survive that, I feel like that even though this is a vampire movie, I feel like you should.
Even though there's a moment where a girl, for I think probably Catherine Newton, falls into a vat of dead bodies.
Yeah.
Vat of blood. So yeah, there's that. So this is releasing in cinemas on the 18th of April. Next trailer is for The New Look, created by Todd A. Kessler, starring Ben Mendelsohn, Juliette Binoche, Macy Williams, John Malkovich, Emily Mortimer, and Claes Bang. Set against the World War II Nazi occupation of Paris, The New Look focuses on the pivotal moment in the 20th century when the French city led the world back to life through its fashion icon Christian Dior. As Dior rises to prominence with his groundbreaking, iconic imprint of beauty and influence, Chanel's reign as the world's most famous fashion designer is put into jeopardy. The interwoven saga follows the surprising stories of Dior's contemporaries and rivals, from Chanel to Pierre Balmain and Cristóbal Valencia and more, and provides a stunning view into the atelier designs and clothing created by Christian Dior through collaboration with the House of Dior. Dylan, what do you think of this trailer for this new Apple TV Plus series?
I'm going to double thumbs down on this one. I think the story is interesting. I think like everything about it is interesting, other than like what I see in this trailer. Like on paper, it all sounds interesting. I think the trailer is weirdly put together. None of it grabs me, apart from just seeing like the text coming up on screen, and the text is like Coco Chanel, Dior, like they write like this time history. I'm like, oh, that sounds so interesting. And then they show me some of it, and I go, this just seems weird. Like Ben Mendelsohn seems like a terrible casting choice for his fucking role. He's like, it's a like Dior, like I don't know. Like, why don't we actually just have a French person?
The guy who does the most Australian accent in Hollywood,
like I just
do it a French.
I can't. Yeah, I got so many things that don't vibe with me for this. So yeah, double thumbs down. No.
I'll go 1 up, 1 down, but I completely agree. Like, on paper, this sounds like a cool concept. It's definitely a part of culture that I don't know a lot about, like fashion and fashion history and that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting to explore that. But this trailer is like kind of weirdly cut, and then like, is it set after the war? Or there seems to be a lot of soldiers still around. Seem to be pulling Maisie Williams all over the place and uncomfortably. So yeah, I don't know. I'll probably give the first episode a shot because why not? Because it's coming to Apple TV Plus. So yeah, it is coming to Apple TV Plus on the 14th of February. So check that out this Valentine's Day. Next trailer, Suncoast, directed by Laura Chin, starring Laura Linney, Nico Parker, and Woody Harrelson. A teen living with her strong-willed mother must take her brother to a specialized facility. She strikes up an unlikely friendship with an eccentric activist at protests surrounding a landmark medical case. So, what do you think of the trailer for Suncoast?
Did I watch this? Look at that. Let me just. Oh no, Nico Parker. Right? Yes. Fucking. You read the whole description. I was like, did I watch this? Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm gonna double up. No, that's a lie. I can't go double up. I would remember. I'll go one up, one down. What the standout was? I was like, these scenes of Woody Harrelson interacting with Nico Parker. This seems solid. And then the stuff with the mum and everything else. I was like, I don't know. This just seems like people yelling at each other. I understand that probably in the context of the film, like, I don't know, it feels like a movie I've seen a million times before, but not really. If that, like, I haven't seen a movie with like a sister dealing with their brother dying, but just the whole thing of like young kid connects with older dude, like overcome life problem, like it just fits that thing that we've probably seen a million times before. And Woody Harrelson has done fucking movies like this before, so
yes, I was about to say this enters the pantheon of Woody Harrelson movies where he befriends a younger girl.
Yeah,
Edge of 17, Hunger Games,
yeah,
Zombieland.
yeah. So he just
maybe a little bit more straightforward this time.
He just does these moves. So yeah, I'll go one up, one down because obviously it wasn't super memorable for me because I forgot I watched the trailer. But I mean, I like some of the people involved, so I don't know.
Yeah, I'll go one up, one down as well. It seems like it's an autobiographical film from what I've read. Doing a little bit of research for this movie. Woody Harrelson, like I said, Woody Harrelson is good in these kind of movies. You know, he's that good, like, surrogate father figure, I guess, or male role model. I don't know. I mean, the situation is kind of interesting of this girl who wants to kind of have a normal teen life, but also her brother is dying, and like, how do you balance those two things and wants? So yeah, I mean, it definitely looks interesting. It just debuted, I want to say, at Sundance, or is about to debut at Sundance, which is weird because it is coming to Disney Plus on the 9th of February. So, not far away to wait for that. Next trailer is for Feud, Capote vs. the Swans, created by Ryan Murphy, Jaffe Cohen, and Michael Zamm, starring Naomi Watts, Diane Lane, Chloe Sevigny, Christopher Lockhart, Demi Moore, Molly Ringwald, Tom Hollander, and Treat Williams. Acclaimed writer Truman Capote destroys his friendships with the jet-setting socialites of New York City's high society by writing a thinly fictionalized account of their scandalous and hedonistic personal lives in his novel, Answered Prayers. This causes them all to vow to ruin his life in revenge. Dylan, how familiar are with Capote?
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, that's what I think of, and obviously in that movie, he's doing like a true crime story.
Yeah, well,
so then to see him completely switch things up to be part of like early True Housewives kind of
I think this is
situation.
So
this is set like a decade or two after.
Yeah, I think this is like, probably like 10, 20 years after where Capote takes place. So
yes.
I'm going double thumbs up. Looks really interesting. Truman Capote is definitely an interesting person that I'll happily watch and learn more about. Great cast, interesting performance by everyone involved, I think. So I'm keen to watch it.
Yeah, I'll give it 2 thumbs up as well. Like, it's very interesting subject matter. Like I said, Truman Capote. I've watched Capote, so maybe that's something I'll watch before this comes out. But yeah, just kind of very interesting to see this dynamic, I guess, at this time period, and kind of the reaction, you know. And then there's a lot of people here who haven't seen and stuff in a while, so very interesting to see them in this. So this one is coming to binge starting the 1st of February. Last trailer for this week, Spaceman, directed by John Rennick, starring Adam Sandler, Paul Dano, Carey Mulligan, Kunal Nair, and Isabella Rossellini. As an astronaut sent to the edge of the solar system to collect mysterious ancient dust finds his earthly life falling to pieces, he turns to the only voice who can help him try to put it back together. It just so happens to belong to a creature from the beginning of time lurking in the shadows of his ship. Tell him, what do you think of the trailer for Spaceman?
I'll go double thumbs up. It looks really weird. I like Adam Sandler doing weird non-comedy movies for Netflix, which is apparently a thing he does now. Arachnophobias, be scared. Yeah, double thumbs up. It looks, I don't know. I don't know what this is about. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But yeah, I'm keen to watch it.
Yeah, I'll give it 2 thumbs up as well. Like, having Adam Sandler doing space stuff, like you said, it's weird seeing him in like kind of a weird dramatic role. Also, Paul Dano was the perfect voice for that alien creature. Just a weirdly calm, unsettling voice.
I'm just here. I'm a space person like you. I'm just here.
Yeah.
I just come along to say hi.
Yeah.
How you going?
The guy behind the Riddler and one of the most unsettling characters in Prisoners. That's who you want to listen to. That's the voice.
These are just your memories.
Yeah. Looks very cool. All right, so this one is releasing on Netflix March 1st. Dylan, this week, what do you want to watch?
Fuck! Damn it.
Back.
This week I want to watch nothing. I actually don't think there's anything I give that. Actually, no, fuck that. You know what I'm watching this week? I'm watching Force of Nature 2, The Dry, baby. The Dry 2, Force of Nature, because they got advanced screening on Thursday.
Advanced screenings?
That's what I'm fucking watching. Fuck everything that's actually releasing this week. I can't say anything I care about.
I don't have anything on the movie front, although I would highly recommend people go see Anatomy of a Fall, which releases in cinemas.
Yeah, I would pick that if I knew I could watch it, but it ain't coming here.
Currently, my favorite film of 2024. So watch that. On the TV front, I'm keen to check out Masters of Air, the new entry in the Band of Brothers universe. Check that out. And then also shout out Expats, the new Nicole Kidman drama. It's directed by Lulu Wang, director of The Farewell. I don't know much about it, other than those facts. But it's coming out on Prime Video. So I recommend that as well. Alright, let us know what you're excited to watch this week. What did you watch during our Christmas break? Let us know by going to explosion.com/Twitter or jump into Discord at explosion.com/Discord. If you want to help us out here, what do you want to watch? The episode review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, leave us 5 stars. And you can leave 5 stars or just tell people about the show. And if you've enjoyed this extra special length episode, I thought it was worth just $1 or maybe more. Head on to a Ko-fi page at explosion.com/support. Thank you very much for listening, especially this far. And until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.